the road in the NFL and winning a game like this, that's hard to do. That's a heavyweight bout. It's a good football team. Defense. Wow. 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 Right? And then it comes down to one play at the end. Guys, the way you guys pursued to the football and played with relentless effort was awesome. Defense. Relentless effort, 5 seconds. Let's go.
Just win, baby. Work for Al Davis and the Raiders, but ultimately, will it work for Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles? As we welcome you to Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL, alongside former Eagles Barrett Brooks and Jason Avant. I'm Michael Barkan. The Eagles escaped Buffalo with a 13-12 win over the Bills for their 11th win of the season. Not a masterpiece, to be sure, but we will take it. In fact, Nick Sirianni today sounded like the Eagles lost the game. It's our Fresh Bites presented by Acme.
I think, again, at the end of the day, we got to do a better job putting them in position to succeed. We got to do a better job executing. It's never just one thing, but that's something we're going to study, and we have been studying, but we'll put it all together here again later today, tomorrow.
Our three-point stance is presented by Toyota. Stance 1. This game could very well be a Super Bowl preview. Two top teams playing their best football in late December. How about a rematch in Santa Clara in a few weeks? Here's Fred Johnson post-game talking about the matchup.
It's going to be a hard-fought battle. It's going to be a dogfight. And, it just shows our grit, shows our passion for this game, and, how we want to execute for not only us, our coaches, teammates, but how we want to execute for this city and, put a stamp on our season, So it just shows the toughness that we have.
So, gentlemen, what are your odds that you're laying that we'll see the Eagles face the Bills in early February? Barrett?
Well, they got a legitimate shot of getting there. He no longer has to go through Kansas City. He doesn't have to play against Patrick Mahomes. So they could legitimately get there. I think the Eagles have a legitimate shot also, unlike a lot of people right now. I just think that this offense needs to get going. There are things that they could do a lot better, yes. But as long as the W's keep coming, I'll keep on eating them. If they can play like the first half and give me a second half, give it to me. But, even if they don't, as long as they win by 1, I don't care.
Jason, do you foresee this happening in Super Bowl 60, Eagles-Bills?
No. I don't see that. It's tough. It's tough. When I say that is that both these teams are, like I said the other day, is that they're the third or fourth best team in their division, and you're expecting those two teams to just live on yesterday's success? No. The teams have to show that they can go out and stop the run, that they can play offense well, and the Bills have some juggernauts on their side. Denver's playing well. The Patriots are playing well. They did beat them a few weeks ago, but they had to come back from a lot in order to do that. And then you have offensive explosions in the NFC. And will our offense be able to keep up with the likes of the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks? I don't know.
Yeah, we shall see. While the Eagles pulled out a win yesterday, the second half offense was, to put it mildly, embarrassing. Second half numbers show the Eagles managed a total of 16 yards and 1 first down in the final 30 minutes. Jalen Hurts failed to complete 1 pass in the second half, not even 1. Here's Saquon Barkley after the game.
I think we kind of, went back to a consistent theme of playing really well one half and not well the other half, not putting a full game together. And, obviously we know we got to get better at that. It's a lot easier to get better from it when it's a win. But, personally, I feel like when it was like 6 minutes left, you want to kind of end the game with the ball in your hands, and we didn't do that, and I didn't do that, so I'll take responsibility for that.
So stance 2, to be clear, a one-half offense won't be enough in the postseason, Barrett, will it?
No, the lack of consistency, the inconsistency we see is bad. We understand that. And, as they go forward, they're going to have to fix that. But they can get a little help. Players got to play more consistently. You got to play more discipline. Here comes the discipline thing again. But I think the biggest thing, you can help players out by calling plays in the second half that are better suited to the way the offensive line is playing. And that's, let's not, take away from, what's really going on. The offensive line is not playing well enough to do anything, pass or run. Until those guys get it better, they won't be able to have consistency. But you can help them out a lot. If you're going to go out there and they're going to be whiffing on blocks, then you run play action when you want to pass the ball. Play action is a solid protection. You get double teams when you play action. You're a lot more solid because you're run blocking, and then you're settling down the pass. So the defensive line is going to stop for a second because they're trying to stop the run, and then they start pass rushing, and by then you have the double team going. Plus you have, guys that are going to stay in a block like a tight end and a running back. You got two receivers that can go out there and play well and then can win. So you can do that. You can also run boot protection, move Jalen out of the pocket. But until those guys up front start playing better and they stop getting free guys in the middle of that offense running free, we won't be able to do anything going forward. They've got to get some consistency, and I think play action underneath center can do that for this Eagles team.
Jason, what did they do so effectively in the first half that just went away in the second half?
Well, the Bills were able to make adjustments. So they had one-on-ones for A.J. Brown in the first half with no safety help. In the second half, they began to play man-to-man on some of those third downs, but they would have a safety over top of A.J. Brown, and the corner that was on A.J. Brown was playing inside leverage. That's why Benford almost picked one on the slant route. That was an adjustment that they had in the second half. And also, they said, you know what? It's rain out here. We're going to bring 9 and 10 people toward the box, and the Eagles didn't have adjustments and audible out of plays. Part of that is because they wanted to go big personnel, 13 personnel, 12 personnel. And in those situations, when you have audibles, you need guys that are in your normal offense, which is 11 personnel, 3 receivers.
Right.
And those guys can go out and make the adjustments. But when those big guys in there, you get stuck between the rock and the hard place, and you run a play into 10 people at the line of scrimmage, and it's a negative play.
Yeah. Or boot protection. I mean, you got to move Jalen around if they're going to do that. They're going to keep all those guys in there. You got to make them pay. So those 2 receivers on the outside, they can make you play if you run plays accordingly to what you have out there.
Now, with 1 game remaining, the Eagles currently hold the 3 seed. If they stay in that slot, they'll host whichever team is the 6th seed. The Birds could also move up to the 2 seed, which opens up more possibilities for which team they'll play next. With that said, stance 3, it doesn't matter who the Eagles play, does it?
It doesn't. I mean, you got to take care of your own house. You got to, cross your T's and dot your I's. You got to make sure you go out there and make it happen. If you playing your best football, it doesn't matter who you play. It doesn't matter who you play at all. So I like our chances. To me, I still think we have the best roster in football. But as long as you're not executing, it doesn't make a difference who you have out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's us against us. Them against them. We don't have to worry about it. They've got to play better. They got to take care of their own house.
I can't imagine an NFL player that would ever concern himself with who's up next. Oh, my goodness, we have to. It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, in the league, the guys are not thinking about that. Us as fans are looking at it because we recognize the teams have, deficiencies. But the Eagles are going to have to score some points if they're going to play somebody out of that AFC West. 38-37 was the Seattle and Rams game, and then 38-35 was the Bears versus the Niners the other night. You're going to get in that 30-point range in order to be successful.
Yeah, that was amazing. I think they just scored another one.
That was a great ball game.
Boom, boom. I don't know if the Eagles could do that. I know they can do.
They can do it, but they got to be consistent. They have to be consistent and more disciplined.
Supercuts presents the playbook. Let's take a look. How John Clark goes one-on-one with linebacker Jalix Hunt, beating the reigning NFL MVP and beating him up a little bit too. Barrett and Jason will debate which Eagles defensive player shined brightest in yesterday's win. And as good as the Eagles D was at times last season, is this unit even better? You're watching Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. Stock up, stock down, presented by Philliport. Stock up for the Eagles defense. Look at these numbers over the last 4 games. Best in the NFL in total yards allowed, passing yards allowed, and sacks, and allowing just 13 points per game in the span. After yesterday's win, John Clark talked with one of the stars of the D, Jalix Hunt.
Give us an idea of when you're watching Josh Allen on film about how he is able to extend plays and how relentless you have to be to get some of those sacks.
Man, it's tiring. I'm chasing him around the field, I'll tell you that much. When you're watching film, you just got to know there's a clock in his head. He knows when that clock goes off, that's when sacks are normally coming or the pressure's normally getting there, so he tries to extend it any way he can. So when he's going sideline to sideline, you kind of just got to still rush as a group. Like, if you're on the edge, stay on the edge, and then everybody corral them in the middle.
How much did Jalen Carter being back there in the middle help all of you?
It always helps, man. When you have somebody that dominant, they slide to him. They always are cognizant of where he is. So knowing that they're going to slide to him, you know what the slide is, you know where your hot rushes are, you know certain plays are going to go away from him, so you just are able to expect a lot more.
This defense got the 5 sacks on Josh Allen. You had the stops. You held James Cook to 74 yards. That is not easy. So what are you most proud of?
There you go. That run. That's what they're number one in the league, running and rushing for a reason. So that was the main objective all week. Stop the run, and then we can get after them any other way that we can. So stopping that run is for sure what we're going to hang our hat on this week.
Jalix Hunt hunted down Josh Allen, to be sure. Seems as though everyone on defense had a hand in the win. But, Jason, which player would you say was the top defensive performer?
This is hard because Epps was a missile out there like the entire time, knocking people out. But I got to go with Zach Bond, a guy that we are so accustomed to playing well. He disrupted the ball. He would have had a sack if Epps didn't, hold in the background, right? So he would have had a sack. He also was the guy that basically forced the fumble that kind of decided the game. And then when the game was on the line, on that third to last possession, when Josh Allen was on the goal line, it was him preventing Josh Allen from scoring a touchdown, giving the Eagles the ball on the 1-yard line to stall more clock. I'm going to say Zach Bond.
Yeah, he stopped his momentum. That was a great play by him.
Who's your pick?
I'm going to go with – everybody didn't say anything about it, but I'm going to give him his praise today. I'm going to give him his just due. Reed Blankenship set the tone of the game. He started the game out trying to rip people's heads off. He played so physical that they saw him and it became infectious. He came downhill and was hitting whatever and whoever had the ball. He almost knocked guys out. It was a tight end, running back, it didn't matter to him. He was running through guys. And I really think that, he set the tone on how these guys approach the physicality of playing against a team that everybody thought was going to blow them out. They were going to, keep them from scoring. I like Reed Blankenship. I'm giving you a just due. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Exciting White, the leader. Mr. Reed Blankenship made it happen.
No Jordan Davis, no Jalen Carter in there, no.
Them guys play well.
They play well, but I thought the second and third level by far played the best. Even though the defensive line had sacks, stopping people from yards after the catch and delivering pain. We saw Epps flip Cook multiple times,
right.
Guys catching the ball in the secondary and getting put down. That's what you want. Also, Cooper DeJean, that second level plays as well as anybody in the league when it comes to open field tackling.
Epps came
9
up
tackles.
Yep. He was running around everywhere, but Epps was coming downhill and he was putting funk on people. He was trying to decapitate people. So, yeah, I'm going to give the just due to the secondaries. Even Jackson, even on that play you talk about with Bond, on that play, he was the backside. He had the running back man-to-man. Well, they had a little concept going, an out route and a stick route sitting right there. And, at the time, Campbell ran with Shakir, the wide receiver. Well, he's supposed to have that running back. Instead, he ran with him, and he covered him. But then, Jackson was like, well, what should I do? He was able to run, get in front, well, not get in front of him, but cover him well enough that Allen couldn't get the ball to him in the end zone, was made him pull it down. And that was right. He was able to make a play on him also.
So as good as this defense has played this season, is it better than last season's defense that won a Super Bowl? How would you balance that out?
No, I don't think we have a guy like Milt Williams was a man amongst boys last year in one-on-ones, and we had a healthy Jalen Carter the entire time, 2 guys that were unblockable. So I think last year's front 7 was better, but I think this year's coverage on the back end, despite having Darius Slay, they have Adoree Jackson. They have one guy that you get targets on, but the other guys are outstanding, and we don't miss tackles at the safety position. It's crazy.
They don't make a lot of mistakes either.
Epps coming in, solidifying for a young Andrew Makuba has been a blessing for us.
Yeah, he need to learn, because those guys don't get beat. They're where they're supposed to be at. You can't take away from what they're doing to cause, what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball.
Certainly not trivial. But I got Birds Trivia right here, presented by Groundworks, your trained and certified experts for basement repair. Groundworks, which running back has rushed for the most yards in a game against the Eagles in the Nick Sirianni era? The answer and more Birds Huddle is on the way.